My name is Usama Wahab Khan. I am Microsoft most valuable professional, proud father of 2 years old, and data scientist by qualification. By heart, I am a developer, nerd, and traveler, and working as a senior technologist in a region of Middle East, and providing my services to several of companies, including Microsoft. Currently holding a role that under as a CTO at Evolution Technologies, monitoring and managing teams working on Office 365, Azure, machine learning, and data solutions. And I'm a proud author of three known books. One is you can see on my screen at the moment. Today, I'm here to just share about um, Power BI and Power BI embedded, how we can use that one. As I said that I'm working for Evolution Technologies. We provide consultancy, implementation, custom software development across Microsoft platform and Microsoft Intelligent Cloud. Feel free to approach us anytime if you need any of support in any of topic. So let's get started. Everyone know that the Power BI becomes such an essential part of Office 365 and one of the most popular services that offered by Microsoft in a SaaS space. But it's most of the time we consider Power BI as a just SaaS application, like normal traditional SaaS application. But it's not true. This particular application is not just a SaaS application. It's far more than SaaS application. And when I say this far more than a SaaS application, that means it has a okay. Sorry guys, we have quite a number of challenge out here with Microsoft Teams and try to figure it out with my team. So first of all, what is Power BI? The concept is this that people don't understand the whole phenomena that how this particular service evolved by the time. So Power BI is a very simple thing. It's a very simplified business intelligence tool for the visualization, but it's far more than that. But it's a primary tool for Microsoft visualization, or you can say any kind of data, anywhere, or in any way. You can explore your data, you can experience your data from any resource, any connectable source. When I say any, that's mean you can connect data to SAP, you can connect data to PowerPoint, you can connect data to Excel, you can connect data to CRM, to Excel files, to SQL Server, and maybe analytics services, bring data from real time, spin up a data brick and extract data from out there, data factory. So it have more than 95 connectors at the moment. So Power BI have a lots of integration. Power BI help you to simplify the business integration, and it help you to connect data in a very easy manner, and it allow you to connect data on-prem and a cloud service as well. You can get data from a cloud service, you can get data from on-prem, you can get the data from a personal files on-prem as well. With the synchronization, that means you can change and update in a file, it can reflect on a service. And also allow you to connect your favorite services by offering multiple gateways out there. It is available on a multiple devices. Power BI as an app, as a just general app, it is available on a multiple devices, which you can use Power BI app on iOS, Android, and other device and desktop and browser. And it have branding capabilities and now advanced visualization. So what are the key benefits of using a Power BI? Number one, it's have a pre-built dashboards. Sorry, it has a pre-built dashboards and reports for the popular SaaS solutions. So you can really embed the existing solutions that are already out there as a resource pack. So you don't need to build them. You can use them from the existing templates. Tons of templates are available on a marketplace nowadays, and on an open source community out there, which you can help you to connect with your favorite sources, which have a pre-built dashboards and UI experience as well. And if you guys are just a basic developer, if you have a team of designers, they can really design a comprehensive, beautiful reports by few clicks only, just by few clicks. It can bring you a real-time data dashboards update. It can provide a secure connection between your data sources and on-premise and cloud. It gives you the very intuitive exploration of your data by using natural language, just like a bot. You can create a bot experience. You can really create the bot experience in a cloud at any time. So you can ask questions from your data. You can ask really simplify the questions from your data. And you can also integrate your favorite product and utilize them in a Microsoft. So I'm working as a consultant and architect, and being as architect, I face so many challenges in the past to integrating a data in SharePoint. That's a prime focus of my today's discussion and today's presentation as well, that how we can leverage Power BI inside SharePoint. However, Power BI provides a seamless integration in a Power SharePoint Online and SharePoint on premises as well. So you have web parts that you can directly connect, and you can use the embedded Power BI. But however, it required the license. The licensing is a thing that changes everything out there, because Power BI can be usable. Power BI can be used in a two different segments, two different type of Power BI access out there. One is dedicated for organization and an app, and another one is dedicated to the individual user, where the user is responsible. They have their own repository of reports, data sets, and access all the shared content by the other colleagues as well. But it required a pro license. So let's move forward. So when you talk about the Power BI, so as I say that it have lots of source connectors. So it have the favorites your source connectors out there. It'll bring the on-premises data, Azure data, Excel data, and the best thing, the Power BI desktop is free. So you guys can leverage Power BI desktop and all the data refresh out there. So it has additional capabilities as well in a Power BI service. So you guys have to understand one more thing: how many types of Power BI that we have. We have one Power BI service, and we have another thing that called Power BI desktop. Power BI desktop is a desktop application that allows you to build, view dashboards and reports out there. You cannot build dashboards in a Power BI desktop, but you can design a report in a manner that it look like dashboard. You can use a natural query language, you can share and collaborate, but if you want to collaborate and use a natural query language, create dashboard, you have to go to Power BI service. Power BI service is available in two major segments. One is Power BI service for free, and other one is basically Pro one, the Pro edition, which is almost $19 a year. So just give me a second. Sorry for interruption. I hope so you all can relate that how it goes that when you work from home. Uh, so sharing and collaboration, it's another part of there. As I shared that Power BI have so much capabilities out there, and Power BI have so much power in it that you can use it and deploy your own products out there. It simplifies the integration, it simplifies the connection, it makes simple for design and mobile responsive design, including everything out there. It has so much awesome visualization options out there, which by just drag and drop you can integrate or create reports. It have a comprehensive, powerful query or DX tool that can help you to create measures and customized columns or calculated columns. So that's a fantastic product. It has seamless integration with the SharePoint as well. But why we want to use Power BI as a developer, how we can use a Power BI as a developer in SharePoint SPFX. That's the whole context of our conversation. Before we want to jump into that, how we can use that one, we have to look into it, what Power BI offer as for developers. Power BI offer for developers, there are multiple type of workloads. Number one, they allow you to build the customized visualizations. So you can build multiple type of visualization and upload in the marketplace or use for your own purposes, which have a complete visualization API with a 3D JS, and you can implement and bring to Power BI. Second, Power BI allow you to build connectors, custom connectors, so you can connect a custom type of data sources with Power BI. And the third and the most common one and the most powerful aspect of Power BI for developers is Power BI Embedded. Power BI Embedded. Power BI Embedded, it's only available in two flavors. One is called app-oriented data, another one called user-oriented data. User-owned data, app-owned data. If you go for the app-owned data, that means that data, its responsibility or the owned by the app or the organization. So individual identity will not reflect upon that one, and it will work simultaneously. Even end user does not require a pro license for to view that reports. For accessing that kind of things, you need a Power BI premium or a dedicated instance in a Power BI. If you want to consume any of them, you have to need a Power BI premium or Power BI dedicated instance in a Azure or capacity in Azure, so you can plug that one. So Power BI Premium, it's available in a 3 different categories. So in the Power BI Premium can help you to create a dedicated instance, and you can use that instance to create your own workspace out there, control performance upon this. So let's talk about it, that how we can use Power BI embedded and how you can have your data. So you can have your own app, and you can have you have your data, and you can bring that data to the life by using Power BI embedded. Power BI embedded, it's basically a very super cool feature that allow you to embed a complete reporting experience by using Microsoft API of Power BI. You can really bring that one. And the best thing, the behind the scenes, your team can still progress on Power BI to improve the reports, improve the segments of the reports, adding more data to reports, and it can work simultaneously, it can work seamlessly without any interruption. So it gives a developer a great space so they can focus more on a business logic. With a very less plumbing, they can enhance or add a capability of business intelligence and artificial intelligence driven data exploration in their application by few clicks only. It's super easy. You create and compile reports. So creation of a report, it's exactly the same, and it's remains same the way you create report in Power BI service. There's nothing changed, so you have to do no additional step for that one. And then you can create a couple of steps in order to bring that one to Power BI embedded. Let's look into it. So first of all, if you want to look into need a Power BI embedded have some some other features that you might look into it. Power BI embedded, if you want to access Power BI embedded, first thing is that how you can access Power BI embedded, what's licenses. If you're a developer, you have a free token, so you can use your pro license for app on data or your basic user on data. Both of them you can access the limited amount of token for development and testing purpose only. If you want to go for a production, you must have to acquire a premium plan, or you can have Azure capacity. You can have Azure designated capacity for Power BI embedded, which you can subscribe, you can get from Azure portal. You can see there's some multiple SKUs and tiers that are available for Azure that can provide you the dedicated capacity for your Power BI embedded, and you can allocate that one to your specific workspace, and then you can use that one for your development and or for your production as well. So let's look into the conceptual module of Power BI embedded. If you look at this one here, we have a user out here, and user hit the browser. User hit the browser, and this particular browser, it sent this application to your ISV application, and that ISV application basically can authenticate the master user. It might be you are using a service principal in some case you want to authenticate by using multi-factor authentication, single sign-on, and you come back and you acquire the token. And once you acquire the token, you send back this token, and then you make a call for Power BI embedded to send the data against that token. And then Power BI embedded receive that token out here and showcase you the data from Power BI embedded API. If you are using a native application, then you can also get the same workflow. Just you're directly calling Power BI master app, so it can serve you the content out there. Power BI, I'm just skipping certain part because of the time. So Power BI embedded allow you to keep your visual data by using a direct query. Direct query give you the real-time data analytics or nearby real-time data analytics. That means it will not import the data stored inside Power BI. It will show the real-time data from database. It's not exactly the real time. It's about that what's the state of your database. So it will load data from your data warehouse at any point. You can also use a similar technique for creating real-time data sets. Power BI embedded, so you can use a Power BI embedded SDK. Power BI embedded SDK is available for multiple languages, including Java, Python, iOS, and is available for React, JavaScript, C#, .NET, .NET Core as well. .NET Core majorly use a REST-based API to make calls and perform out there. Power BI embedded surface. So you can have a Azure Resource Manager API and you have a REST API. These are two APIs out there, both in Azure. So you can use the Power BI embedded as a platform in order to access Power BI objects out there, including refresh object, datasets object, or any kind of objects. And bottom of that, you can just have a individual API available for datasets as well. You can use a single API from a Power BI that can communicate across these services, and you can also use automation in order to create, manage, deprovisioning, refresh datasets. Power BI love Azure, so it allows you to directly connect lots of data sets in Azure without defining any gateway or anything else. So you can bring your data from Azure very quickly. Power BI also allow you to implement advanced machine learning or advanced data solutions by using Stream Analytics or many other Event Hub, GitHub, or Azure Machine Learning, Azure Data Factory. So it can really help you to fetch data, extract data, type in Power BI in no time. You can directly connect your multiple data sources in Azure, connect to combine them, and provide you in a single dashboard. So it will be another way of showing multiple type of data sets in a single visualization. So if you can see here, Power BI can bring data from Azure HD, Databricks, Stream Analytics, Machine Learning, Azure Storage, Event Hubs, and many more. Let's move to the Power BI API. So as I said that Power BI offer their API, and Power BI offer their API now in a premium edition. So that's the beta is gone now. So you're available in a production. So you can use that one. So the API endpoint is a little bit changed now. So what you have a Power BI endpoints, and then you have a collection. In a collection, so you have a workspace. Under workspace, you have a multiple type of objects, which including data sets, Power BI reports, dashboards, and embedded tokens. You can just get set call to the Power BI workspace, and you can import workspace, get access space, and you can perform multiple type of content out there. You can also get the data sets out there, performing refresh, accessing content, changing values, adding information out there, and multiple things through the REST API. You can also get the report attributes and any information about the report attributes out there. Power BI embedded have a multiple SDK available for multiple type of languages and frameworks out there. The current example you're seeing at the moment on my screen, it is from JavaScript. So you guys can see here we have a Power BI embedded. Power BI embed a iframe in a web page and load a config upon that one by using a WML calls, and load that iframe on a given parameters and access token. Required to access a token. So Power BI app basically have to access the token out there. So you have application and you have multiple type of authentication, and authentication. Z authentication means you can either authenticate based on a user or you can use a service principal, and it get authenticated against your Power BI workspace. In order to that, it generate a token. Token can be a group token or a specific object token, and you can cache that token and use that token multiple time on each time when you try to load Power BI. So Power BI authentication, so it can just use a user authentication. My user can be authenticated from applications, like it can use a single sign-on authenticated protocol as well, or it can also use user behalf protocol as well. And you can also use service principals in order to communicate with other providers. And then you can access your reports, dashboards, and everything, or application keys out there. Visualization that you can see that. So first you make your authentication claim, you get the report 1 and set the expiration for certain time and visualize that report. Once that is done, you request the next report. So you can use the same token for the multiple reports. When it's get expired, you can reinitiate a token. It is very important to handle a token properly. It's been seen in past that multiple time people try to access a token and generate on each call, which create a quite bit complex scenario. And it waste of the time as well. Try to reduce the number of tokens that you want to initiate. It will help you to improve performance of your app and performance of rendering as well. So let's jump into it and let's see that how we can implement Power BI in SharePoint. So what I have done in order to save some times out here, we know that Power BI Power BI embedded allow us to embed a multiple type of content out there. Before I move further, I just like to show you a couple of demos that you guys can look into it. And Power BI Playground. Power BI Playground is a place where you can basically Power BI Playground, sorry. Power BI Playground. If you go to Power BI Playground and the Microsoft on GitHub, you will find a couple of examples that how Power BI works with the code and reference. Power BI allow you to embed dashboard, visuals, and Q&As. So you can really ask questions from your data like this, if you can see here, and you can see the JavaScript example directly code here, which you can use in your application, and you can embed this in the scenario out there. If you click here, run, it will execute the report out there in a couple of seconds. You will just witness the data out here. Sometimes it works slow. If you guys are working with the Power BI embedded, highly recommend to avoid the custom visuals. It really change the performance, and try to use CDNs as much you can. If you look at here in example of Power BI embedded, so you can see that it's have an embedded token out here. That's an embedded token that against the Power BI that it has generated, and that's in Power BI URL for the report that we want to visualize, and the data set information as well. Individual report objects send you the data set value as well, but data set is not important. Only important when you're working with visual of QA. Q&A allow you to just make a natural language query upon your data. So you can see that it's a predefined it out there. We can do the column chart. Even in fact, I can just look into the other type of chart. I can just ask questions about my data in a manner the way I want. Let's say bar chart, or I can say the table heat map, line chart, scatter chart. So I can define a predefined questions as well in order to improve performance, in order to just help users to understand much more clearly. I can also use a multiple language versioning out there and multiple type of things out there. So as we know that we have a very minimum time for a resource management at the moment. So I will try to shorten the my demo and take you to directly to Azure portal to showcase you a multiple types of content out there. Number one thing, let me show you that how you can integrate that particular product with SPFX and what are the challenges. A problem with the normal SPFX is this: when we try to embed a Power BI embedded, it will not allow you to authenticate with your own protocols, and it add the iframe in it. It add the iframe in it, and how you can embed that iframe, and how you can configure a product or your project with Azure service, or how you can configure your SPFX project with the Power BI embedded. Let me stop that. So guys, if you look at here, it's a very vanilla project that I have extracted from Yeoman generator. And if you notice here, I have added a couple of parameters out here, namespace out there, in order to call HTTP request. Why I use that one, I will tell you later on. Let me explain you what we're trying to do here and what's this code's all about. If you look at here, we have Power BI embedded. And Power BI embedded authenticate against or allow you to display reports in iframe. In order to load iframe, we have to provide access token. We have to provide the access token. If we have access to, I don't know what's happening here. It's not the lucky access token. Power BI need these three components basically in order to render a report on a runtime. Access token basically grant you the access at what you can see and what kind of permission you want to look into it. You have a two type of access token. One is ADL access token and another one is called embedded access token. If you try to use our app on data, you have to use a service principal that can authenticate on a behalf of app and send you the data and allow you to look into data and reports as well. If you're using a Power BI Pro, you can use Active Directory authentication mechanism and pass that individual access token to your app on data, and based on your grant access, you can access and view the reports out there. However, this particular type of implementation of Power BI does not require a premium capacity, and also it required a pro license for individual user who want to interact with the reports. So you have a component that called Azure Active Directory, Azure AD. Azure AD. So first of all, your application have to contact to Azure AD in order to access the information. Once it have access to information, it can return you back the token that you have generated, and that token you will preserve here in your Power BI code or inside your JavaScript, wherever you want to hold that one. And then you embed that token and additional information, that what report and what URL embedded report you want to look into it. So we'll tell that the workspace name, report name, and embedded token. You send this thing in iframe in a request of Power BI SDK, and then this request will generate to Power BI service. So it will embed to Power BI service. In a Power BI service, will return a data in a format iframe, where it will load your report and allow you to interact with that report through iframe and by WML calls. And then iframe will load the report based on given parameters. However, you can manipulate the report and play with the Chrome of the report, that you can interact with the report, you can fetch and everything inside the report, you can distribute the filters, you can create a multiple types of examples out there. So if that's a workflow out there, so we need an access token. In a user context, we can use a SharePoint access token out there. When we try to use or load that data, from the current user context, we don't need to authenticate it. So it will be the same mechanism that how we use graph in Microsoft SPFX. It's the same process. The only challenge comes when we try to access Power BI embedded in a context of app owned data. Okay, before I move forward, let me explain one thing, that why we want to use Power BI in a customized mode, in an app development mode. We also have a tile and we also have a web part. Why don't we use that one? First of all, that tile and that particular template work only with user own data module. That means user required a license. If you published a web URL, that's not safe. Second, more important thing is this, that data need to be authenticated against that Power BI. It required integration out there, and it cannot provide you an interactive experience and customization. If you want that your complete application can interact with visuals, like when you select any value in a drop down, it will reflect automatically a filter on a specific chart, or when you click on a chart, it will filter all the grids under below or show all the relevant documents in SharePoint. These kind of interactive experience or customized branded experience you cannot bring from a Power BI given or by out of the box web parts. That's why that particular thing comes in. Whenever you try to integrate for a data visualization point of view in SharePoint, you try to integrate the SAP, Dynamics, or any other product, or might be Salesforce. It's quite complex and difficult to make a API calls to multiple type of data points or APIs in the systems and extract data and then showcase them in a JavaScript based visualization. It is super easy to connect multiple data sources in Power BI, and only thing that you have to handle is the Power BI embedded, where you can showcase and deploy the reports out there. So that's the reason that why we use Power BI embedded. It helps us to create a personalized, customized experience and also interactiveness with our own application objects. If you look at here, that's a cycle that we're going to do it. So I just take a liberty to just create this project in advance. So I just added the service principal out here. So how we can access a token, that was a concept here. So how we can access a token. So Active Directory will not let you directly access this token. We need to access token. So we need to register our application. We need to register our application in our app owned data. We need to register our application. We need to register our application. To register our application for register our application against Azure AD. It will provide us client ID. It will provide us client secret. The two things it will provide us, and it will create a service principal that allow us to interact with Power BI service. And that particular IDN thing, I will make a call and I will use a SDK from Azure Active Directory and pass that information. Then Azure Active Directory will generate this information. When you call Active Directory, how Active Directory will recognize you and what token they have to return you. So Active Directory required that information from their given SDK, and depending what kind of authentication mechanism you're following. If you're using a silent call, like for the web services, by using OpenID Connect or any other method, you have to provide these two credentials: application secrets and application ID, and tenant ID also. So then it will authenticate your application and return you the token, and token will be generated on the behalf of a service principal that have a behind communication or authentication with Power BI service as well. So you have to also add that particular service principal in a Power BI workspace as an owner, so you can fetch all the data on behalf of it. And but how I can do that one in JavaScript? If I place that secret information in JavaScript in Power BI SPFX, then anybody can fetch this information, and it's a cause of vulnerability for us. So how I can hide this information in order to make a call? In order to make a call, what we do here, we place a middleware, a small component in between that call Azure function. We create a small, the hack trick is here, Azure function. So Azure function, basically we can make a secure call to Azure function. Azure function basically call to Active Directory and extract the data and create an access token and return that access token to back to our SPFX framework, and which we can use in order to review reports. That's how we can make this environment pretty secure and pretty easy. If you go back here, let me show you that how you can create a Azure function. If you want to use Azure function to which can generate a service token, which can generate access token. So what you have to do, you have to add two libraries here. You have to add two libraries here. If you can look at here, you have to add two libraries here. Number one, Active Directory, and number two is Azure. Number two, Power BI embedded API or Power BI API for the client, Power BI API client. So these two APIs you have to download, you have to install in your solution. You can use npm package manager to add these two packages. One is Active Directory client, another one is Power BI API. Then you also required information in order to get authenticated token. So you need these three information that you can get from directly from Azure portal. When you go to Azure portal, you can find this information under Active Directory, app registration, that app registration you have used for your application development. Power BI embedded have their special tool for app registration as well, which you can use in order to create this information. So when you register your app against Power BI embedded, for Power BI embedded, you will get the client access token, client ID. Then you can use also username and password for testing development purposes, but it's not recommended. If you're using a multi-factor authentication, it will not work. So it's recommended for app owned data. You must use app secrets. And then you can use a group ID or report ID. You can add this information into the web config in Azure functions. If I'll show you Azure function in live mode, if I'm able to show you that Azure function, these values are confidential, so you're not supposed to share that value. You want to hide that value. So I highly recommend to use Azure Key Vault. So use Azure Key Vault, then use that particular values out there. If you go to Azure function for this demo, I did not use Azure Key Vault to try to simplify that particular Key Vault operations out there. If you go to application configuration, you will find these keys out here. So you can see here, just so I can show you this value. So you can see that my values are out here. I can define my values out here. For username and password application secrets, I highly recommend you guys can put that one into Azure Key Vault. And then you go to Azure functions. If you click on functions, I will walk through the code as well. Just want to show you that how Azure function is available. And when you click here, you can find a function here. You can grab the URL. And you can immediately also perform a test if you want. A test is also available in a code. And if you want to test your URL or you're looking at the code, click on code and test. and provide the any key that you want to say that master key is something. Okay, that's not required any key, honestly. Just click here. Okay, it will communicate and access the information, execute that one and return that one. Currently you're seeing that 4 error because we have to assign a permission for that one as well. We did not assign a permission, that's why it's giving an error. You have to assign a permission to specific objects that you basically use out here. Let me walk through with the code. Permission management can be set up later on, it's not a big deal. Here I have application secret, so I created my application client contest here, and I use a secure string if I want to use my password. Okay, but I'm not using a password, I'm just using a client secret here. .NET Core does not use username, password, credential type out here. So if you try to use access token from against AD, this method will not work. So don't waste your time in it. It's better to use authenticate against the client ID. And here we just pair the token. You can define a token type. The token will come back again. Then I will make a call to Power BI embedded, pass my token, my credentials out here, and that credentials will create my Power BI client. Power BI client will generate the report. I will get the report URL out here, and also after that, I will generate the token here, the token that required for the Power BI. I can define the access level. It can be a view or edit or permission level, and based on that, I will access the token out here, and then I can return that token in a JSON convert object into Power BI, and I can use that one in a Power BI in SPFX project to fetch this information. My information is hidden inside Azure function, and it's communicating with the Azure Active Directory, and I don't need to apply on that one. If I go back to my SPFX, if I come back to my SPFX, in SPFX, I say that I have two options. Either I'm using an app authenticate data, or either I'm using a normal method of user authentication. So if you're using a user authenticated data, I will show you the option here. I have created another folder that called app service, Power BI app service. In this app service, I defined the endpoints and token access information about it from Azure Active Directory and resource ID information. If you look at here, get report, you will get an idea that how it works. So I'm just initiating that particular token and access information out here. And based on that access information, I am just making another call to Azure API. And against that API call, it will generate the access token in a header and return me the value. Once I return the value, I get the access token information. You can see here from app service, I get also dataset ID, I get URL for my embedded report and other things. I can return that information back in order to perform or show the data on runtime. If you simplify that process, so basically you have to provide this information. You have to just simply provide this information to Power BI embedded in order to embed. However, you can add the more configuration out there. Let's see that how we have embedded a Power BI embedded API out there. We have used a Power BI embedded client. We have added the Power BI embedded client. Just use npm package manager to add the Power BI embedded client. You can also use Power BI embedded client typing as well if you want to use that one upon that. So you can use Power BI embedded client typing as well. And if you're using a React have a already built-in component for Power BI native client, and you can use the React components for that one. The pattern of implementing remains same. React have their own components, so it can render automatically the Power BI, but as Power BI JavaScript module does not have any component, so you have to do some manual plumbing. So you have to create a one div that can render out there, and you can define that object or the report ID here and define the size. You can also use a bootstrap in a new API, so it can bootstrap accordingly to the screen. And I highly recommend for the performance purposes, use the bootstrap based div here. You can just bootstrap that particular container by using Power BI API. If you can here, look at here, so I can get my Power BI content here if I want. So I can just call my Power BI content and I can just demonstrate that content directly here, and or either I can just pass that information out there. On the runtime, once Power BI get loaded, I can just have a container back, and then I can just load that container into Power BI service. And you can see here in this service, I just call a Power BI API here, Power BI API dot embedded, provide the container name and the configuration that based on I want to load the Power BI in a content out there. I can use WPMI factory service as well, and multiple other routing services as well if I want to extract information. And for the Power BI contest, because Power BI basically make up the PHMI factory calls in order to change and manipulate data inside across across your visuals and everything, your interaction that happens is like a single arc channel mechanism. And once it's out there, you have that Power BI embedded object. This object you can use in order to extract reports and information. And once you have this object, you can also use all functions available in the Power BI JavaScript. So you can just look at like here that I get the Power BI report and I can use a function that called full screen and it will work exactly same. If you want to call a Azure function to get the get a specific resource access token, so you can call function like this. Okay, I will upload that a complete code in a GitHub. Because of shortage of time, I try to reduce the code part and the development part. I try to build that one because we have some hurdles earlier in a session. So I just try to be much more quicker in a solution point of view, that how it works and how we can leverage that one. So once this will done, you can directly deploy that one to the Power BI embedded report out there. If you guys are planning to use a Power BI embedded as a part of your solution where you already have a license and you want to use a user own data, then I highly recommend to use add the permission inside, add the permission inside your SPFX web part and deploy that one. And you guys can note down this URLs in order to which can help you to work with the Power BI embedded. I highly recommend to look into the Power BI portal, the Power BI portal that have a Power BI embedded stuff out there in a GitHub, and a JavaScript API, which basically help you to understand that how you can just work with the Power BI and what are the concept, the things that are out there and how you can use individual functions. And thank you for the day. I hope so enjoyed the session. If anyone have any questions, I will happy to take it. I know that the things was quite unscheduled and unplanned and not very much seamless for this particular demo and this particular session, but I will add all the source code and a content, working source code and content with the tutorial on a GitHub and share the link on my Twitter profile. Feel free to contact me anytime if you have any questions related to Power BI or Azure. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Anyone have any questions? So I will love to take one by one.